Now, before I begin, I want to put things in perspective, paint a picture if you will. It's January 2011. The newest available iPhone is the iPhone 4, and everyone's going nuts because, for the first time ever, this thing has a front-facing camera that allows you to video call without flipping your phone over to the back. Most people on the planet have never heard of this thing called Instagram yet. AI and TikTok don't even exist, and this is what a Toyota Prius looks like. In the sampler world, the most powerful and current MPC is the MPC 5000. That was the available technology in January of 2011. That and an enigmatic machine called the Octatrack DSP-1 by Elektron. It's been 14 years now, and although many things from that year are either obsolete or only cherished by collectors, the Elektron Octatrack is as relevant in 2025 as it was when it first came out. You see it everywhere, in live performance sets, in Instagram Reels, and YouTube videos, but why? Why is a 14-year-old sampler still at the forefront of the gear conversation, especially with all the modern competition? In this video, I want to share with you what I think makes the Octatrack so special and why it's been able to maintain its status as King of the Hill for such a long time. For full transparency's sake, please note that Elektron is not sponsoring this video, and they actually have no idea that I'm even making it. Today's video does have a sponsor, and that's the good folks at Sweetwater. Sweetwater is one of the world's biggest dealers in all things music production related and have a huge variety of synths, guitars, mics, pro audio gear, you name it. Sweetwater's got you covered with excellent customer support and international shipping. When you buy your next synth at Sweetwater using one of my affiliate links down below, you also support my channels. Huge thanks to Sweetwater for supporting me and other creators like me. Number 1. The scenes and crossfader. Even though I will be mentioning a few more sentimental or less objective reasons why the Octatrack rules, I thought I'd start with something concrete. In short, I've yet to see any machine come close to the sheer power, capability, creativity, possibilities, and just plain fun that the crossfader and the scenes on the Octatrack can offer you. In case you don't know what that is, the Octatrack allows you to set 16 different states, or scenes if you will, for your tracks. This means that in state 1, you can have a sample in a certain pitch, for example. And in scene 2, you can have that same sample pitched down a few semitones. In that same scene, you can also have the sample reversed or sent to the delay. And although that by itself is already pretty amazing, what makes this thing absolutely epic is the crossfader that goes between the two states. See, you don't just jump between scenes in absolute values from 0 to 100. The crossfader transitions between the two, making for some wild and beautiful in-between areas that I personally could have never programmed voluntarily. That in itself is a goldmine for sounds and textures like you've never dreamt of. Over the last few years, I've tried lots and lots of machines, synths, samplers, what have you, and the only thing that's ever come close is the morphing feature on the Polybrute. Where the Octatrack gets truly insane though, is that you can have 16 different scenes per part, and you have 4 parts, which means you can have up to 64 scenes available per bank. I said this before and I'll say it again. The Digable 1 or 2, with all its power and updated effects, as long as it doesn't get a crossfader and scenes, it will always live in the shadow of Big Daddy Octatrack. Number 2. Raw sequencing and mangling power. This should really come as no surprise to anyone familiar with the Elektron boxes. The Elektron sequencer, with its trig locks, parameter locks, trigless trigs, and so on, is renowned as one of the most powerful, comprehensive, and flexible sequencers known to man. And in the Octatrack, it's just as good as ever. Something that only the Octatrack brings to the table, that I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, isn't in the other Elektron boxes, are its 3 LFOs per track, which aside from offering a list of waveforms, even has an LFO editor for you to make your own custom LFO shapes, which is something I'm surprised isn't more widespread. The LFOs allow for some extreme experimentation and sample mangling, and it gets better when you factor in parts. Parts may very well be one of the most obscure and underrated features of the Octatrack. To try and put it simply, it's like having 4 different Octatrack setups ready to go at the push of a button, each with its own scenes, different track machines, track parameters, and so on, but still using the same patterns across all parts. This means that you can maintain your rhythmic and melodic patterns while completely changing the samples being triggered and the scenes associated with them. I've only recently begun to tap into the power parts, and I gotta say, boy was I missing out. Number 3. It's not a groove box, it's an instrument. In an old interview, Arnold Schwarzenegger said that what he loved about bodybuilding is that it's not something you can buy. You can't inherit a six-pack or buy huge pectorals. You have to earn it with your time and your hard work. I've always thought the same thing about playing guitar or piano, and I also think that that's the reason why it's so entertaining to watch someone play music live on an actual instrument. Precisely because it's not something that everyone can do. It's hard to learn, and it is hard to do. I'd argue that the same here is true with the Octatrack. By the way, I know it's cemented in the popular mythos that the Octatrack has this insane learning curve and that it's this impenetrable puzzle box that only the most masochistic of musicians are willing to solve. And I don't agree with that at all. Maybe at the very beginning when it was just launched and there were very few resources to study from, but nowadays the internet is just flooded with videos and tutorials on it. Special shout out to Octatrack gurus Ricky Tinez, EasyBot, True Cuckoo, and John Makes Beats. All of these creators have made the Octatrack not only accessible, but actually fun to learn and play with. That being said, this thing is still very much an instrument of its own, and as such, you need to study it, practice, and learn it to be able to actually use it and enjoy it, much like a guitar or piano. And I think that in this modern world where everything is just so easy and disposable, where games handhold you to the point of belittling you, the Octatrack sets itself apart by being a formidable challenge, but one that rewards you 10 times over if you're willing to put in the hard work and time. Number 4, versatility. Probably one of the most important reasons that the Octatrack remains such a popular kit, especially in live sets, is because of just how versatile it is. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that the Octatrack, in the hands of two different people, will probably fill two completely different roles in their respective setups. Just as a reminder, the Octatrack can be a sample mangler, a live recorder, a long-form audio playback machine, a live looper, an effects processor, an audio mixer, and an 8-track MIDI sequencer, and all at the same time, mind you. Me, for example, I used it for about a year just as a mixer with an external effects loop. Another time, it was my live looper. It's like having a bunch of machines squeezed into one, and it's probably one of the only hardware boxes out there that are this capable, both as a utility, yet so limitless as a creativity booster as well. Just as a side note, I really need to underline how powerful the audio routing capabilities of the Octatrack are and how useful it is for that function. From internal resampling to changing tracks to adding effects to queuing tracks to cue outputs for live performances, it's like a huge patch bay disguised as a sampler, and it really is one of my favorite machines for routing and handling live audio. Number 5, feel, aesthetic, and workflow. You might disagree with me on this, but I've often found that the physical aesthetic aspects of the tools we work with often have a very big impact in how we use them, or at least in how motivated we are to use them. It's one of the reasons I don't make music on an iPad, for example. The Octatrack feels like a spaceship when you sit down with it. I truly love the mechanical feel of the buttons under my fingers, the click they make when I'm programming in the triggers. The industrial aesthetic and the screen just tunes me into what I'm doing. Even slicing and editing audio has a different feel to it. It's definitely slower than what you can do on a modern MPC or a Push 3, but there's something deliberate, almost therapeutic, about doing things in a more relaxed, calm manner that lends itself to a huge immersion in the experience and getting into that concentrated flow state. I think John Wayne said it best: the experience itself of music making is as important as the music. Now, I know that the Octatrack doesn't click with everyone, but for those that it does click with, there's just nothing quite like it. The Octatrack is a once-in-a-generation machine, and I suspect it will only grow in recognition and popularity as the years go on, unless, by some miracle, someday we get the fabled Mk2. Here's hoping. My candle's still lit. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. Have a great week. See you next time.